Let's get down to business to evolve Mulan. Did they make her costumes? Yes, they made a ton. What's going on, guys? It's Dan here. It's time to talk about the evolution of Mulan. Drop the stick. Li Shang would be so upset with me dropping the stick. Let's go back to the late 90s, back when all we were afraid of was an invisible computer date changing. When Y2K was our biggest fears, and Disney releases Mulan in 1998, man. And it's gangbusters. Christina Aguilera, Reflections, got Donny Osmond.
Let's get down to business.
And Mulan is this masterpiece of just beautiful music, some beautiful segments in the film. Oh man, when she's putting on her armor, really is just like one of the most beautiful sequences ever. We get one of the best sidekicks a princess has ever had with Mushu, right? Mushu is the absolute best. And we're off on this wild journey that just took the world by storm. Everyone loved Mulan. Mulan was a really great film, and it's kind of like been etched into the stones of a classic Disney animated picture. And Disney took no time getting Mulan right into the parks, right? So this is a blockbuster movie, and people wanted to meet Mulan, and man, 1998, we got to meet her right off the bat. We didn't even waste any time from the premiere to the parks. I believe she was already in the parks before the movie even premiered, because, you know, that's how Disney liked to handle big animated pictures back in the day, with parades and events and whatnot. We capture that beginning Mulan, the beginning of the movie. And this is a really great costume because it's, again, one of those things I'm always talking about, how Disney likes to take characters, just kind of pull them off the screen and drop them into real life. And that's what we did here with Mulan. These colors are vibrant and beautiful. It looks like she is a cartoon almost in a way. Her wig is really big and strong with that really defined clip in the front of it. And the easiest way to catch her in the parks back in 1998 was at MGM Studios in the Mulan Parade, the parade that celebrated the release and just took things to the extreme to kind of market the film in the parks. And leading that parade was none other than Mushu, and his costume was absolutely fantastic. He kind of served as this hype man for the parade. He had a rickshaw guy pedaling him around. He was wearing one of these like Backstreet Boy headsets. Mushu's the ultimate hype man, right? He's the ultimate companion that is like, come on, girl, you can do it.
We gotta wake up the ancestors for the celebration of the century, the delight of the dynasty, a parade, everybody.
And that's what he's doing to the crowd. He's like, come on, guys, you excited to see Mushu? Who's excited to see Mushu? Let me hear it. It's the longest pre-show to a parade that has ever existed. This costume of Mushu is beautiful. It was so beautifully done, in fact, that they really haven't had to change it since 1998. It's still the same costume. You might catch it in slightly different outfits. Sometimes they'll dress him up, sometimes they'll just leave him bare. And sometimes when they rebuild it, they refurbish the heads, because the core of the heads can always be fixed, and they can just be reskinned and repainted and whatnot. And so sometimes you'll see variants, like his nose will be shadowed a little bit heavier, or the color of the red on parts of him might be a little bit darker. Minor stuff, but the design and the simplicity of Mushu kind of rolled out and has endured forever. And it's one of the best costumes that has come out of the 90s. I really, really love Mushu. Way better companion costume than someone like, Abu from Aladdin. My goodness, that costume's got a lot of problems. Mushu is like the pinnacle of companion costumes when it comes to Disney parks. And this parade was fantastic, and it's a lot of height and it's a lot of interesting stuff. The parade starts with the matchmaker with a little cricket, and then evolves into some buildings that are dancing around. Because every kid's like, let's go to Disney World to see buildings with feet. So we get this archway with Mulan's parents. It's beautiful. There's a lot of beautiful ribbon dancing. It's just a lot of elegance. And then the parade takes a sharp turn and we get this massive, horrifying Shan Yu parade float. It's like, all right, we have the budget to build a Macy's Parade Day float-sized thing of the villain from Mulan, but we do not have the budget for the 60 people it takes to operate it, so we're just gonna strap it to a pickup truck and drive it through the park, and it'll be horrifying that close up. It's so bad. The only thing I could possibly reason it with is that like the buildings in front of him are kind of like this forced perspective storytelling, and so I'm thinking that maybe it's what Shan Yu sees as he's rocketing through the sky just before exploding into fireworks. I don't know. Add on to the fact that Shan Yu's already super weird looking, I can't believe that they did this I can't believe they did this in the park. We have Mulan's sidekicks, right? Yao, Ling, and Jian Po. When they kind of drag it up at the end of the film. They got super gratuitous with, dad joke, big melony melons. Jiggly, open, exposed melons. It's just like, what? How did they even get away with this? One of them's got watermelon, one's got cantaloupes, and one's got like gourds, and they jiggle around and then they're just like, haha. It's like, oh my God. When I was researching, after not really knowing that much about it when this scene happened, I just kind of got a little bit wide-eyed. And then I was like, oh my gosh, they're full melon boobing it at a Disney theme park. Man, I love this parade so much. And then we get followed up by this beautiful Mushu dragon dance. It starts off looking gorgeous and beautiful and elegant and have these very sharp lines, beautiful color. But then you start to realize that the dragon is the Great Wall of China. Oh, now we know why there's the little weird buildings and the weird idea about perspective. They definitely had to have had this idea, this beautiful Great Wall of China, dragon, Mushu. I think that this is the defining part of the parade. And then we get followed up by one of the most extremely ornate parade floats I think I might have ever bore witness to. I mean, this thing is gorgeous and stunning and horse-drawn. Like, it just feels so powerful. This float feels so powerful. It's incredible. And on that float, of course, is Li Shang and Mulan. And then we get followed up by this emperor. And this float does such honor to him by putting him up there in this magical place. It's 1998. This parade is rocking and rolling in Hollywood studios. And so over in Disneyland, they decide to open up a Mulan Parade there, like a month or two after it opened in MGM Studios. And so with this new Mulan Parade that they're rolling out, they wanted to really play with the idea of a nighttime parade. And this is where you start to see the design elements of this parade that we saw only in daylight at Hollywood Studios, MGM Studios. Oh gosh, I gotta get that right. This parade lights up with personality and just shines. It is a magical parade from the first moment of that float rolling out. And it's different. It's different because it is nighttime. They've added a couple floats and they've played with the idea of night. And then those buildings that I relentlessly made fun of, now you can't see the feet. Now it just looks like these buildings are jiving and moving and glowing. It's really, really cool what they do with the nighttime version of that parade. That parade didn't really run that long in Disneyland, but it ran for 3 years over in MGM Studios. So when it closed in Disneyland, MGM kind of, assimilated most of the floats and kind of made it even a bigger event out in MGM Studios. And yeah, Mulan kind of has this defining moment in theme park history with these really magical, beautiful parades. It was the first nighttime parade at Disneyland where the floats themselves weren't designed to be the light source. And it was this iconic new animated parade down in MGM Studios because it was the first movie animated in Florida. So it was cause to celebrate. This animation studio down in Florida built into MGM Studios to design like shorts and cartoons. Now they got to make their first movie and it was Mulan and it was awesome. But it wasn't just America that got all the Mulan fun. In 1998, over in Disneyland Paris, or Euro Disneyland, they had a little Mulan parade, and it was more of a kind of soldier's march instead of a big float-heavy thing. The budgets just were not there out in Paris at the time, so this was a kind of like a low-effort thing. And what was really cool about that was, because it became this marching kind of parade, became more military, what we got instead of Mulan was a Ping appearance. We got our first appearance as Ping, right there along Li Shang on the horse, which was really cool. It's not just the elegance of Mulan that's being represented. We also are getting that, like, super, butt kicking, let's go kick some honey buns, kind of vibe. And I love that. I love that we're getting some Ping action in the park. And then Ping continues to kind of appear as novelty appearances here and there, or if they're doing a brief retelling of the Mulan story in something like Chinese acrobatic stunt show, then maybe we'll see a little bit of an appearance of Ping. Oh, and it's actually so funny I mentioned a Chinese acrobatic stunt show that retells the story of Mulan, because in 1999, out in Disneyland Paris, bing bang boom, we have Mulan Legende, La Legende, La Legende, Le Legende. Mulan Le Legende is what I'm gonna go with, Mulan Le Legende opened in 1999 in Paris, and you might be thinking to yourself, where would be the best place for me to see acrobatic Chinese stunt show about Mulan? And the answer of that is France, apparently. And it ran for a little bit, and it was actually kind of cool. It was that Cirque du Soleil kind of vibe of spinning plates and doing cool, like, vaults with, like those tall bamboo sticks that are all like anchored. Here's the thing that's kind of important to realize about the Mulan costume and all the costumes for Mulan and these parades and everything is that they're real costumes. We're not stretching far to make these things, right? This is fabric and designs and like tradition that has been passed down for thousands of years. They're not difficult to access. And here we are with Mulan now, kicking butt, doing this Chinese acrobatic show. Ran for about a year or two. But what was really cool is, because it was such a tumbling show and Mushu was such a big part of it, they gave Mushu a kind of an alternate costume, which was more or less just a red jumpsuit, a red like kind of tumbling suit, but with this cool helmet, this Mushu helmet, kind of like those Goofy hats and Donald hats from the 90s that just kind of had the face of the character that you could kind of click on. But it was a soft kind of like, bouncy helmet that allowed him to tumble and roll and do some silly Mushu acrobatics, and I thought it was kind of like a fun interpretation of the character. So back in MGM Studios, as the parade begins to wind down, as they know that Mulan's about to kind of not have this big spectacle, now it needs to become a thing where it becomes a meet and greet. We can meet Mulan and Mushu and Li Shang. We also need a villain, right? You need that villain. Every movie, Hercules got Hades meet and greet. Aladdin got a Jafar meet and greet. You got to bring the villain into the parks. It lets the boys get excited to get the villain signature. It becomes like this thing like, oh man, this guy may murder me or he may sign my autograph book. I can't tell, and I can't wait. I'm sorry, that just really, that tickled me. We need to get a Shan Yu. We had him as this massive parade float, so what better way to bring him into the parks but to make him this massive, intimidating costume character meet and greet. And he kind of follows the patterns of the previous villains. Jafar is huge. Hades is huge. And so the Shan Yu, he just has these massive shoulders and this huge headpiece. And he's just so terrifying. And he's got like thick, plumpy hands, thick, plumpy, purpley, meaty death hands. Oh, it makes me laugh. But it's a scary costume. And in the right meet and greet, in the right scenarios, he can be very intimidating. Jump forward to 2003 and out on the Disney Cruise Line, and then soon later to appear in the parks, we have the Golden Mickeys. And of course, Mulan was up for a Golden Mickey, and we have this whole Mulan segment where we get a lot of the costumes brought to life in a gold and white kind of color palette to go with the whole, theme of the show. It's fun. I like when characters kind of get reinvented into the context of a show with a theme. Now we have to jump forward quite a bit, 2011, to get some new Mulan material, okay? And Disney on Ice has this show called Dare to Dream, and it's a little bit like the original Ice Capades, or even back in the day, like a lot of Disney's original touring shows, where it just had one solid name, and then segments inside of the show kind of rotate in and out. And from 2011 to 2017, we had a Mulan segment on Disney on Ice, and we go from very traditional, elegant Chinese garb to super high ice skating skirt. Mulan, if anything, translates better into one of these ice skating outfits than most other of the princesses. And listen, I have 2 daughters, all right? I'm a grown man. I'm a dad. I've been to plenty of Disney on Ice shows, and I have seen all of the princesses in all of their various ice capades outfits. And Mulan just, she destroys. She destroys just like she does with the amount of people that she destroys in the movie. She really owns this costume in the same way that she owns the lives of many Huns. Nothing really captures the endless battle of feudal China like a excellently choreographed West Side Story like dance number where the sides battle. Man, it gets really artistically expressive. There's just a lot of snapping. There's a lot of And what's even cooler is at the end of the segment, they bring back, we get another Mushu dragon dance. And this one is even better than before because now he's just very vibrant and glittery, shiny, and his eyes, like, you know, they wiggle around like Cookie Monsters. It's really, really great. I love it. I wish where is this? Like, we need to display that head. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful piece of art. 2013, we go back to Disneyland Paris because there's something going on in Paris where they just love Mulan. She appears in Paris more than any other park, I've got to say. And they have this new show, the Disney Dream Show, and it's just a very elegant show. So they were able to add a lot more detail into like the prints that they made the fabrics out of. And then we got detail in the trim work and in how they layered the fabrics into, add more texture and depth to the design and the palette, and really makes her seem overall much more elegant than the theme park meet and greet version that we're seeing in all the other parks that was available right at that point in time. It was a much more elevated Mulan than had been seen before. Then comes along 2016, and we get the opening of Shanghai Disneyland. And it is a to-do. And with the opening of Shanghai Disneyland, there's a parade that features a whole Mulan segment. It's Mulan up on her horse con, and it's actually Ping, and she's gorgeous, and she's like turquoise. And this float is massive and just stunning. Like, you just can't take your eyes off of it. So we get like this updated version of Ping in this parade, but then also, because now we're in Shanghai, how can we not have Mulan? And we can't just bring in this cartoony version of Mulan that we've been using since 1998. No, we've got to step it up a little bit. And we have to go and change it up from doing the Mulan that was pulled off the page, that was ripped out of the movie and stuck into the parks. And instead, now we have to interpret Mulan as how she would be as a real person, with real fabrics, with grounded color palettes, with grounded accessories and designs. We have this beautiful sash with some red detailing and some gold detailing. She's got this jade pendant. And I really think that everything they did to make her look this way were all the right decisions. She just looks awesome. She looks excellent. It was a massive, massive improvement to the entire concept and look of Mulan. Now, we've got the new Mulan movie out, and she's just kicking butt, right? She don't need no love interest. She doesn't need no companion. She doesn't need Mushu. Mushu, by the way, I just learned recently, was the idea of Roy E. Disney. And meanwhile, Michael Eisner's like, hey, no, we need a cricket in this movie. And everyone's like, we do not need a cricket. Eisner's like, we need a cricket, guys. Trust me, I need my cricket. I need to have a cricket I'm responsible for that imparts not just sage wisdom, but also luck, because I'm Michael Eisner. And everyone's just like, does it need to be here? And so that's why we end up getting this weird, like Mulan, dual companion aspect, because we had warring fashions that just kind of got stuck in the muck of leftover plot merges, and it's such a hot mess. But the new Mulan, elegance and strength and power, which I'm really excited to see. And who knows what we might get to see of Mulan in the parks in the future. If this movie does really well and is well received, we might see a much more gritty, realistic kind of traditional Mulan appear in Epcot, let's say, and maybe that or cartoony interpretation of her from this animated story might get relocated to somewhere else. So there's the evolution of Mulan. She's kind of been this staple character that's been in the parks and in Disney princess lore since 1998, and they haven't had to do much to keep her relevant and beautiful and iconic, except for some minor updates throughout the years to kind of keep her along with the pace of the rest of the park and the storytelling. So let me know which version of Mulan you liked, which version of any of these characters you like. Are you as terrified of Shan Yu as I am? Shan Yu's the most terrifying character of any Disney princess movies. Shan Yu is just the most horrifying character, literally. He didn't have to use magic. He was just nothing but brute force and terror, all right? So let me know if you're as terrified as the Shan Yu parade float and or walk around costume as I am, because very, very unnerving. And head over to patreon.com/DisneyDan to find some bonus contents and early views at DIStories. Find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Subscribe, hit those things, click those buttons, slap those things, smash them, whatever people do. And thanks for watching, guys. You rock. Oh, my first choreographed opening. How I've grown. To look back now The Dan 2 years ago, would he be singing and dancing on YouTube? No, he'd be mortified. Believe in yourself, kids.